Welcome to the Something Better podcast. I'm your host, Joe Conroy, the City of Bakersfield's Public Information Officer. And this time we're joined by Jason Cater from the Economic Community Development Department, and you're the ECD manager. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. And we're here to talk about a few different projects that you guys have going on that are really important in kind of revitalizing the community, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So to kick it off, first off, tell me a little bit about your job. What is it you do with ECD?
Yeah. So I'm in the Economic and Community Development Department, so kind of taking the acronym, and we focus on what I say is quality of life. So we work on a lot of things that look at economic prosperity, so job opportunities, workforce programming, things that support small businesses, as we know, the backbone of our local economy. And we do a lot of stuff with community investment, so looking at how do we address and support our unhoused communities, how do we build more affordable housing access, how do we work with partners in the community to build quality of life and really build in, particularly in our disinvested communities, really put in the infrastructure to really provide a quality of life and access for those residents. So we touch a lot of things, but I always say it's anything to do with quality of life for our residents.
All right. And one of the projects you've been involved in mostly, or has been kind of the big project that you've been involved in, has been TCC and Southeast Strong over the last, year, 2 years?
About 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what is TCC, what is Southeast Strong, and how does that, I guess they're the same thing, but a little bit of a different name.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start this journey with what TCC is. So TCC by itself is a program that's funded through the Strategic Growth Council. So it's a program through the state of California. And it really tries to fund a multitude of investments targeting the most disinvested communities using what's called CalEnviroscreen. So they look at communities that are impacted by income access, pollution burden, other challenges, and they have a series of programs and projects that you can invest in to really lift the quality of life for those residents. So on its surface face, TCC, I would say, is a funding mechanism that we, like many of our other programs, will pursue to try and meet our mission of investing in residents. The programs,
so that's like grant money that might be available for us to make projects or improvements or something?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a very large-scale grant. So oftentimes you'll see these projects that will invest in certain parts of it, like they'll look at safe routes to school or housing or tree planting for parks. TCC kind of lumps it all into one big program and is able to fund multiple projects under one grant. And so that's where the multi-prong approach kind of comes in and why it's a very sought-after program.
And these can be large amounts of money coming in, right?
Yeah, so in past years, we've seen people get up to $70 million. Over the years, 35 is probably the sweet spot that you're seeing go through grants. And then when we got TCC in December 23, we ended up with $22 million, us and 3 other partners. But TCC really bled into Southeast Strong. So TCC was kind of our vessel to put together an application that really was about bringing in community and really focusing on residents. And so in the framework and really into the DNA of the TCC is this goal that applicants bring in a myriad of partners. They're really deeply connected to residents, and there's a lot of community guidance and engagement in the process. And so through our journey, which actually began in 2019 with a planning grant, through TCC, we've gone through these multiple iterations that we ended up at Southeast Strong in 2023, really focusing in Southeast Bakersfield. And this came through years of work in partnership with community groups, with residents, with partners. And we finally put together an application in August of 2023, focusing in Southeast Bakersfield with 16 or so partners. And this was really accumulation of years of work that amounted in a $22 million award that's also being matched by significant funding as well. So it's not just $22 million, it's $22 million plus the leverage that we'll be administering through the Southeast Strong program.
That's incredible. I mean, that can have a major impact on a community,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, this program is going to do a lot of things. It's going to have safe routes to school. It's going to help rebuild the Bakersfield Senior Center, which is a really vital nonprofit facility in Southeast Bakersfield, into a mixed-use facility that has housing as well as a new senior center. It'll put trees along some of the main corridors in the Southeast. It'll help do some tree planting at Lowell Park. It'll help give solar installation access to homeowners, job training, home buyer counseling, a whole myriad of things. So it's really transformative in the approach of what the funds will do, but really the mechanism and the approach to the work is, I think, what's most transformative. It's really a new approach I'd say the city is looking at where, we want to be a partner in the community. We also acknowledge that we can't do it all. and that together with our partners, we're stronger and our impact is going to be a lot further. And so TCC will be ran by, the city will be the grant administrator, but we have, actually at this point now 18 partners. We'll talk about that in a second. But we have up to 18 partners that are funded partners running programs. We have members who will serve on our advisory council and our collaborative stakeholder structure. We have a series of community engagement events to continue to make sure that we're accountable to our community and how we're managing the money and how we're investing it. And so it's really kind of the launch pad into this new system I think that we've been building, which is a really collaborative approach to community placemaking that involves residents.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it sounds like it's so, I'll say across the board. I mean, it's not just one thing. Like we're not just going to do trees, or we're not going to just do the senior center. We're going to do all this stuff because it's all connected anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So similar to that, you guys have now coming up Old Town Kern Vision Plan. That sounds like kind of a similar idea behind Southeast Strong. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are trying to do there.
Yeah, so coming up, we're currently in the process of developing a vision plan, and this is kind of the early phase of kind of similar to what TCC went through, where there was this plan for projects that we then moved towards implementation. We know that to be a great city, we need great communities, great neighborhoods. We have a lot of great history, great bones, not just in our downtown core, but in other parts of the city, and we're looking at places like Old Town Kern, Southeast Bakersfield, all these different neighborhoods that really make Bakersfield special. But in Old Town Kern, right now what we're doing is really trying to cast a vision for what the community wants to see this community look like. And again, this is kind of the early stages, I'd say, of some of the TCC type work where as a practitioner, my goal with this is to really get a vision of what we want to see Old Town Kern to look like, and then for us to then go and say, okay, here's the projects that we can do to start implementing that vision. And so this is really about taking this historic community and casting a vision for how we want to see Old Town Kern transformed into something that celebrates its history and tells its story. I mean, Old Town Kern's got all, we know about the Bass restaurants, we know about Luigi's, we know about the history of Sumner Depot, we know about the community service organization, some of the work that started in that community. So how do we take all these historic pieces and really build a community that's fabric and its culture and its programming really celebrates all the things that make it so unique.
So this is basically the kind of the 2019 phase of when you did Southeast Strong, like you guys. That's where we're at right now.
I would say, yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah. Where now obviously it's not tied directly to a grant like TCC was. There's a little practice difference, but yes, it's very much like where we were in 2019, where we're building this vision of what we want to see to the TCC focus area be. We're starting a vision here for what we want to see Old Town Kern look like. That'll help launch our efforts into really intentionally going after a vision for what that community can look like. So,
talk a little. You did a little bit already, but maybe a little bit more in depth. What is it about Old Town Kern that we want to do this type of project now? We want to take a look at this. What is it we're trying to kind of accomplish here?
Yeah, I think why now? I think the Sumner Depot had a lot to do with it. We see the history of this community, and we see, I think Old Town Kern is just one of those neighborhoods that when you look at Bakersfield's history, you look at what is part of our DNA. There's just such great bones in the built environment as well as just the social fabric that's come out of that community, tied to some of the efforts that have been made with the Sumner Depot revitalization effort, with some of the investments that have gone to Old Town Kern, our Renaissance at Baker project finishing out the city's efforts on Baker in Kentucky. And I just think all that kind of led to starting with this vision plan for this neighborhood. Now we do, as a department, have a goal to do multiple vision plans. So this isn't the first and last plan we want to do. But I just think with what's gone on the last few years and kind of the special history of Old Town Kern, that it just was a place for us to start.
Okay. Talk a little bit about kind of what your goal is here. It sounds a little bit like kind of celebrate the history while still preserving it and being able to grow.
Absolutely, yeah. Our goal is to build, I'd say at the face value, to build a neighborhood community that we're all proud of, that's active, that's vibrant, but is also, part of that is ensuring that the history is preserved. That's one thing that makes Old Town Kern so special, and a lot of neighborhood and communities special. But Old Town Kern, obviously, there's a really deep community with whether it's the Bass culture, like I mentioned, the community service organizations' early efforts, even little one-offs we've heard about that have deep connection to our community. Making sure that fabric is protected and part of what this new vision is so critical. Also seeing that community really, there has been some challenges, as we all know, in that community. And so trying to help build a vision for what this area that has such significance to our community can look like in terms of redevelopment, in terms of growth, in terms of new business opportunities, new housing, new programming, so new celebrations, events, art, whatever it might be.
Okay.
Just kind of building the vision of what this community can look like.
Yeah, and as you're doing this vision plan, you guys are interested in incorporating public feedback.
Absolutely.
How can people get involved here?
Yeah.
What can they do?
Yeah, so there's a number of ways to get involved right now. This week we'll be having a 2-day charrette. Residents can attend on Thursday as well as Saturday. We're going to have first on Thursday we will have a it's called Pecha Kucha in the morning. So
Okay.
at 9 a.m. at La Mariposa, which is on the corner of Baker and Sumner, we'll have community leaders giving 7-minute presentations about ideas and opportunities and things that make this community so special with a group conversation. Followed that afternoon, we'll have some charrettes that are going to focus on table discussions around specific ideas for transformation and investment in Old Town Kern. We'll have everything from housing opportunities to economic development to culture and cultural protection as well as history to mobility. And so we'll have our team from Kimberly Horn, who's currently doing the plan, and their architects there with maps and computers and really trying to make it interactive. So if someone's like, hey, I'd like to see what a new urban style apartment complex on this block would look like, we can actually sit there and kind of hash it out and sketch it out and kind of build together this cohesive vision. Hey, I want to see what this block would look like if it was new restaurants, new businesses.
Okay.
So we can kind of work on that together. And so that's really what Thursday will be. Saturday will also be an open house at Ram Gallery, again in Old Town Kern off Kentucky. And we'll be going over some of the concepts of what we heard, but also continuing to get feedback so that way there's this iterative process between the 2 days that kind of helps build the vision. And if you can't make Thursday and you can make Saturday, you definitely will still...
You're not missing out.
You're not missing out,
Yeah.
exactly. You're part of this continuation and of building the vision. And so that's really where we're at now. We have some ideas, we have some sketches. If you go to our webpage, which we can drop in the link later
Sure.
for this podcast, we do have a public coordinate link where you can actually go in and interactively look at a map of our area and drop a pin on an area. So let's say you have a thought for Sumner Depot. You can drop a pin on it on this public coordinate, type in your thought, your comment, post a photo even of what a vision could look like, and then that'll come to our team so that we'll also see that input. So there's two things. There's the online and there's this 2-day charrette that we're doing.
Awesome.
That we're hoping to really gather a lot of feedback from residents.
That's great. And you're holding these events in Old Town Kern.
Correct.
In that community. So you're really looking for that community's feedback.
Yes, and that was critical when we were really working with our team. I mean, we were, it's hard to have a vision plan that's not in the core area, right? And in some space in the venues we're looking at, La Mariposa is a beautiful historic building that is used as an event space. The owner has done a tremendous job of really maintaining the character, but really building something special. Same with Ram Gallery, really just a neat, modern art gallery that's gone into an existing space in Old Town. So we wanted these venues that ensure that people could see and feel what kind of this sort of investment and protection of Old Town Kern's character can do for our community. So absolutely critical to be in the area, also for those that maybe live in East Bakersfield, to give access to them, to make sure that they have access. So.
Awesome. Very good. Well, Jason, thank you very much, everybody. We have Jason Cater, with our Economic and Community Development Department, and we've been talking about the Old Town Kern Vision Plan coming up, and some of the other projects that they've been working on in ECD to help improve quality of life here in Bakersfield. So again, thank you, Jason, for coming on and talking about these. We hope we get lots of feedback from our folks at these meetings and online. And for everybody that's listening, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, follow us, whatever your favorite podcast delivery system is. And with that, we'll wrap things up. And thank you again for listening to the Something Better podcast. And thank you again to Jason.
Anytime. Thank you, Joe.